The average airport terminal in America is over 40 years old. The busiest ones are running at double their designed capacity. And right now, across the country, airports are in the middle of the largest construction program in U.S. aviation history, a $151 billion rebuild spanning more than 100 projects from New York to Los Angeles. New terminals at JFK, a complete rebuild of Newark's Terminal B, a $7.5 billion airfield overhaul at LAX, an $8.5 billion expansion at Chicago O'Hare, a $3 billion reinvention of Terminal C at Dallas-Fort Worth. But here's what nobody's saying out loud. Some of these projects are going to transform U.S. aviation. Others are going to open years behind schedule, billions over budget, and already obsolete the day they cut the ribbon. This is what's actually being built and what's going to go wrong. To understand why this is happening, you have to understand how the U.S. ended up with airports that look like they were designed in 1978, because most of them were. American airport infrastructure peaked in the 1960s and early 1970s. The TWA Flight Center at JFK, the LAX theme building, the original O'Hare terminals. These buildings were architectural statements. They projected confidence, ambition, and the idea that air travel was the future. Then, in 1978, airline deregulation changed everything. Fares dropped, passenger volumes exploded, but federal funding for airports didn't keep pace, and airlines, now competing on razor-thin margins, had no incentive to fund expensive infrastructure upgrades. For the next 4 decades, U.S. airports largely ran on patches. Expansions got bolted onto older terminals. Baggage systems from the 1990s kept running long past their intended lifespan. Security checkpoints designed for pre-9/11 passenger flows got retrofitted into spaces that couldn't physically accommodate them. The result, by the mid-2010s, was a system that consistently ranked at the bottom of global airport surveys. Foreign visitors arriving in New York, Los Angeles, or Miami were walking into facilities that looked third world compared to Singapore, Doha, or Seoul. The numbers underneath all this got worse every year. Airports Council International North America estimates the U.S. now has a $151 billion capital backlog of essential projects through 2027. That's a 30% increase over just 4 years earlier. The FAA projects passenger traffic will hit 158% of 2019 levels by 2040. Cargo will grow to 167%. The existing infrastructure simply cannot handle what's coming. The response is the largest single wave of U.S. airport modernization since the jet age began. The question is whether it will actually solve the problem.
No region better illustrates both the ambition and the risks of this rebuild than New York. The Port Authority of New York and New Jersey has just approved the largest capital plan in its history, $45 billion for 2026 to 2035. That builds on a previous $37 billion plan that was already the most expensive airport investment program ever undertaken in North America. 3 airports, JFK, LaGuardia, and Newark, are being rebuilt essentially from scratch. The JFK transformation alone is a $19 billion project. A new Terminal 1 will consolidate international operations into a 23-gate facility that aims to be among the best in the world, with first gates opening in 2026. A new Terminal 6, a $4.2 billion, 1.2 million square foot facility, will open its first 5 gates in 2026 and reach completion in 2028. Terminal 4 has already been expanded. Terminal 8 reopened in 2022 after major renovation. By the end of the decade, JFK will be a fundamentally different airport than it was 5 years ago. LaGuardia was the warm-up act. A complete $8 billion rebuild replaced every major passenger facility with new terminals B and C. LaGuardia was recently named Best New Airport in the U.S., a phrase that would have been literally laughable 10 years earlier when Joe Biden compared the airport to something you'd find in a third-world country. Newark Liberty is next. Terminal A, the new $2.7 billion 5-star terminal, is already operating. A $3.5 billion AirTrain Newark replacement is under construction, and the 2026 capital plan funds a complete rebuild of Terminal B, which currently handles international traffic through infrastructure dating back to the 1970s. What's remarkable about the New York plan isn't just the scale, it's the financing model. Every major terminal is being built through public-private partnerships. The Port Authority provides land and coordination, while private consortiums raise money, oversee construction, and manage the completed facilities under long-term leases. This is how JFK's Terminal 6 is being delivered, through JFK Millennium Partners, which includes JetBlue as a consortium member. It's how LaGuardia's Terminal B was built. It's a model that lets the Port Authority execute mega-projects without exclusively relying on public debt. But here's where the problems start. Every one of these projects is running over its original timeline. The new JFK Terminal 1 was supposed to open earlier than 2026. LaGuardia's rebuild took nearly a decade. Newark's AirTrain replacement has been debated for years, and every delay pushes operational pressure onto terminals that were already past their intended lifespan. Chicago O'Hare's modernization program, branded O'Hare 21, and now operating as ORD Next, is one of the most ambitious airport projects in North America. The original budget was $8.5 billion. It will almost certainly cost more before it's done. The plan centers on a complete reconfiguration of the terminal complex. The 1960s-era Terminal 2 will be demolished and replaced with a new global terminal that unifies domestic and international operations under one roof, something O'Hare has never had. New satellite concourses will add dozens of gates. The baggage system, taxiway layout, and international processing facilities are all being rebuilt.
Why does this matter? Because O'Hare's current configuration forces international arrivals into cramped customs halls designed for a fraction of today's traffic. Connections between terminals require bus rides or long walks. The airport handles more than 80 million passengers a year through infrastructure that was never designed to coordinate the level of hub-and-spoke operations American and United now run there. But O'Hare 21 has already become a case study in how these projects go sideways. United Airlines, American Airlines, and the city of Chicago have been fighting publicly over gate allocations, cost sharing, and timelines. The project's original 2028 target has already slipped. Cost overruns have pushed the budget past $9 billion, and the new global terminal, the centerpiece of the entire program, is now unlikely to open before 2032. By the time it's done, the passenger demand forecasts it was designed around will be nearly 2 decades old. Los Angeles International Airport has committed $30 billion to a modernization program that has to be delivered before the 2028 Olympics. That deadline isn't suggested, it's binding. And the current state of the program is, by any honest measure, behind. 2 major pieces are already operational. The automated people mover, the elevated train system connecting terminals to off-site parking, and the metro rail network has all 44 train cars ready and is scheduled to open in January 2026. The LAX Metro Transit Center station opened in June 2025, linking the airport to LA's rail system for the first time. The consolidated rental car facility is operating. These are real improvements, but the centerpiece, the airfield and terminal modernization project, has already been scaled back. The $7.5 billion ATMP was supposed to add a new concourse with 12 gates at Terminal 9. When passenger demand forecasts softened, LAX scrapped the new terminal entirely and redirected that funding toward infrastructure modernization. The Midfield Satellite Concourse South, an 8-gate narrow-body facility, was delivered using prefabricated modules assembled off-site and trucked into place, a construction technique that's rare at U.S. airports, but essential to meeting the Olympic deadline. Terminal 1 is undergoing a nearly $1 billion interior renovation. Terminal 6 is getting a complete overhaul of gate areas, lounges, and passenger boarding bridges. A bridge is being built between Terminals 3 and the Tom Bradley International Terminal. All of this has to be done while the airport continues operating at capacity. LAX's core problem is that no matter how much money is spent, the airport's physical footprint can't grow. It's boxed in by the Pacific Ocean on the west, freeways on the east, and residential neighborhoods on both sides.
every improvement has to happen within the existing boundaries. That's why the automated people mover matters so much. It's the one piece of infrastructure that meaningfully changes how passengers move through the airport without requiring more land.
Some of these projects will be genuine successes. LaGuardia already is. Nashville already is. JFK's new terminals, when they open, will give the U.S. its first genuinely world-class international gateway in decades. These projects matter, and the airports behind them deserve credit for executing against enormous operational and political pressure. But a realistic assessment has to account for the other half of this story. O'Hare's $8.5 billion program is already late and over budget. LAX's has already scaled back its most ambitious components. Newark's Terminal B rebuild is still in the planning stages, and none of this addresses the air traffic control crisis that will determine whether any of the new capacity can actually be used. The U.S. is spending more on airports right now than it has at any point in its history. The question isn't whether the money is being spent, it's whether the system that results, years from now, after every delay and cost overrun, will actually deliver the aviation experience this country has been trying to build since 1978.